Oma Gyan Timirandasya Gyanan Gyana Shilakaya Chaksunamilitam Jena Tasmayasi Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Shtapitam Jena Bhutale Shvayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadanti Sva Padantikam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhaktivindam Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and guests, those of you who are joining our congregation this evening, welcome to this very auspicious function of Shri Krishna Janmastami, welcoming, honoring, glorifying the appearance day of Bhagavan Shri Krishna in this world 50 centuries ago, 5,000 years ago. There are many auspicious days in the Hindu calendar. Practically almost every day we could celebrate something transcendental or spiritual. But for many Hindus, this is the most important day. Because in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna's own words 5,000 years ago, he declares quite openly that he is the seed-giving father of all living entities. Even in this world, we're generally very attached to our mother and father who give us life, give us this particular body, raise us to be good children, and contribute to society, our country, etc. We have some attachment for our mother and our father. How much more attachment ultimately we should have for the Supreme Father, Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is giving us the very air we breathe, the very earth that we walk on, the food that we taste, the water that we drink. We often take these things for granted, isn't it? Familiarity breeds contempt. We just think it's all here, but everything has a cause. And the supreme cause of everything is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we honor Krishna on this day for being our provider, for being our well-wishing friend, ultimately for being our divine lover. Parastasmatu bhavanyo vyakto vyaktat shanatana. Beyond this temporary world, which is characterized by birth, disease, old age, and death, there's an eternal abode, which is full of knowledge and bliss, and that is our real home. And because we've forgotten that, essentially we've forgotten that abode, the Lord is very kind, and He comes to remind us. He states in Bhagavad Gita, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata adbhutanam adharmasya tatatmanam shujamyaham. Even the Gurukul children, they know this verse. They were singing earlier. All Hindus know, but repetition of the fact is necessary to properly understand it. Krishna says whenever and wherever there's a decline in religious practice, which is the practice of all civilized nations, there's many authorized, bona fide spiritual traditions in the world. We honor our Christian brothers and sisters, our Muslim brothers and sisters, our Jewish brothers and sisters, our Buddhist brothers and sisters, because they're, to a greater or lesser degree, transcendentalists. They understand that the goal of life is to go back home, back to Godhead. We honor them. So Krishna says whenever and wherever a decline in civilized life, Civilized life doesn't just mean a suit and tie, a nice gown, a glass of wine, some fancy words, some politics. No. Religious life means dedicating ourselves wholly and solely to our Supreme Father, the Supreme Lord, so that one day we can join Him again in that world of love and bliss. So whenever that religion, which elevates people, becomes adharma, which degrades people, out of His compassion the Lord comes. Religion elevates us. It brings about all good qualities: cleanliness, truthfulness, mercy, austerity. Irreligious life degrades us. What does irreligious life mean? Meat eating, intoxication, illicit sex, and gambling. These are the norms of today. It's enshrined in various countries' constitutions. Meat eating, intoxication, illicit sex, and gambling. In our Hindu culture, our Vedic culture, these things were practically non-existent. People lived by higher principles: cleanliness, truthfulness, mercy, austerity. These are in decline, and adharma. And adharma causes us to be forgetful of who we are, who is God, and what is our intimate relationship with Him. That's why you see in a modern age, religion is in decline, and adharma is on the rise. A very nice example is I was recently in London, in UK, in England. And I was walking around appreciating the beauty of the city, and I noticed that most of the churches were closed. Most of the churches were closed. These churches were built very beautifully by the British people 100, 200, 300, even more years ago, and people would flock to the church, the house of God. And now they're closed, they're locked up. And to my dismay, I saw that some of them had been purchased and turned into discos, turned into pubs. You know, the British like to drink. They have the pub. They're pubs. They're pubs, the churches. So for me, that's a sign that Dharma is in decline. And adharma is becoming manifest. So whenever that happens, the Lord appears. We may forget God, Bhagavan, Krishna, Ram. We may forget Him, but He never forgets us. He's always waiting for the opportunity to enlighten us about the purpose of life. He's always there ready to enlighten us about the purpose of life. He's waiting for us, actually. He's seated in the heart of every living entity. The Lord has three principal features: Bhagavan, Krishna, the personality of Godhead in the spiritual world. He's all-pervading by His Brahman effulgence, and He's present in the heart of every living entity, guiding us as we wander through this material creation. What's His real purpose in being there? The real purpose of the Lord being in the heart is to capture that moment that we realize the futility of material existence, and we become gradually interested in spiritual life. The Svetasvatara Upanishad describes two birds sitting in a tree. It's a classic example used by all the pundits in Bharat when they lecture. Two birds sitting in a tree. One bird is eating the fruit of the tree, and the other bird is a silent witness. He's just watching this bird eat the fruit. No, cherries, like a cherry tree. In Europe we have lots of cherry trees. Lots of cherries. So one bird's eating the cherry, and when he becomes sick, because if you eat too much fruit, you can become ill, then he turns to the other bird for guidance, for help. It's a nice analogy. Try as we may to enjoy in this world, that enjoyment is temporary, at best. It doesn't satisfy the hankering of the soul for eternal happiness. So at some point in one's existence, there'll be a spiritual awakening. Everyone has their own pace. At that moment, the Lord in the heart, He sees that interest. And what does He do? He guides you to a bona fide spiritual organization. There's many different spiritual organizations because there's different kinds of people. He'll guide you to a movement like ISKCON. And when you're in the International Society for Christian Consciousness, trying to awaken your dormant love for God, the Lord will inspire you to take shelter of His representative. Just like a government exists in Europe, France, for example. But in this good country of Mauritius, there's a French embassy with an ambassador representing the country of France. So in the absence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who generally just stays in the spiritual world, enjoying loving pastimes with His devotees, His ambassador is in this world. The ambassador is the Guru, the spiritual master. Tadvidi paripatena paripashana sevaya upadekshanti teganam ganinash tattvadarshanaha. And Krishna encourages us to seek out His ambassador, His representative. Just try to learn these truths by approaching a bona fide spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render service to him. The self-realized souls can give you knowledge because tattvadarshana. They've seen the truth, meaning they've heard the truth, they're practicing the truth. They're qualified to share it with you and train you. So like that, Krishna's in the heart. He sees when we're ready for spiritual life. So He guides us to a bona fide spiritual master. One time my spiritual master Prabhupada said, every lady and gentleman should have a bona fide spiritual master. Should seek that. But what does the spiritual master represent as the ambassador? He represents the Lord Himself. The spiritual master isn't someone with long hair and twinkle in his eye, an ability to speak very nicely and move. No. He's the humble servant of the Lord, simply repeating what the Lord has given in books like Bhagavad Gita and setting the example. So the example has to be there. The Shastra has to be there. The spiritual master is one who repeats the Shastra with realization. He doesn't fabricate something new. So the Shastra has to be there. The words of the Lord are infallible. They're perfect. They are the perfect guidebook out of the darkness of ignorance to the light of the spiritual world. So therefore, Krishna comes from time to time. He comes from time to time. To establish what is Dharma by speaking Bhagavad Gita. Actually, the Lord comes for 3 reasons. This Vedic knowledge is very detailed. Many people believe in God, which is, again, good. It's civilization. It's a path to transcendence. But if you ask them, who is God? They don't really know what to say. They believe in God, but tell me something about God. Well, He's up there. Okay. Anything else? He's good. Okay. Anything else? The purpose of religion is ultimately to awaken your dormant love for God. That's the purpose of religion. To develop your love, your dormant love for God. That's the visa back to the spiritual world. How can you love someone you know nothing about? Many of you are seeing me for the first time. You can make a judgment if you like me or you don't, but you can't know if you like me or you don't like me unless I'm present before you. Then you can make your judgment. How can you love someone you know nothing about? Why did you marry that man sitting next to you? Why did you marry that woman sitting next to you? Because of their specific personality, their characteristics, their traits, their likes, their dislikes. She dresses this way, she talks this way, she likes this type of work, she likes this type of recreation. Hey, I like those things too. And then the relationship develops. So in order to love God, we need the information that's there in the Vedic scriptures, with all due respect to other spiritual traditions. We're not criticizing here, we're just giving you a PhD understanding of Dharma or religion. It's God's mercy that He comes to this world so we can see Him and hear from Him, observe Him. And because Krishna is all attractive, anyone who ultimately comes in contact with Krishna, they're going to fall back in love with Krishna. They're going to fall out of love with the material world and into love with God. So we herald this day as something very significant, that the Lord comes in His original transcendental form 5,000 years ago in India. It's one of the most important moments in the history of the human race. God comes. And we can see Him tel qu'il est, en français, tel qu'il est, as He is. He says, Paritranaya sadhanam vinashaya taduskritam dharma sansta panataya sambhavami yuge yuge. The 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. To deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principles of religion, I myself appear millennium after millennium. He comes once in a day of Brahma with this message of Bhagavad Gita. Sarva dharma parityajya mamekam saranam bhaja aham tam sarva papebhyo moksasi mastuchaha. It's on the tip of every Hindu's tongue, isn't it? Sarva dharma parityajya mamekam saranam bhaja. Krishna says, just abandon all various ways of life which you think are so important, and surrender unto me. I will protect you from all sinful reaction. Do not fear. He comes to give this message once in a day of Brahma. Now that day of Brahma is very long. By human calculations, it's millions and millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of years. But in cosmic time, it's not such a long period. Time is generally calculated according to the time of the devatas in the heavenly planets. When Vedic scholars speak about time, they speak about time in a more general way. They'll speak about cosmic time, the different yugas, the different kalpas, because Purana, our scriptures, Purana means the old history of the universe. Purana, Bhagavad Purana, Shiva Purana, talking about things that happened billions of years ago. So time is seen in a different way. So if they're talking at the demigod's time is more important than our time. Like, who cares about the ant's time? There's an ant. What's day and night for the ant? We're more important than the ants. So who's more important than us? The devatas in Svargaloka. They're running the whole show. Everything that happens in this world, material world, is controlled by a devata. The sun, the light, the heat, the water, the wind, Vayu, it's all controlled. They're much more important than us. So when we say that Krishna comes once in a day of Brahma, that's very significant. If someone comes to your house every day and knocks on your door with a message, you open the door, hey, you were here yesterday with the same message. Yes, but it's very important. And you close the door. Next day he comes back again. Oh, it's you again. What is it? Atato Brahma Jignasya. The person at the door, Atato Brahma Jignasya. Now that you've arrived at the human form of life, sir, what is your business? Oh, well, I'm getting an education, a career, I'm going to get married, I'm going to grow old, I'm going to die. That's okay. That we can't ignore. We have to take care of that. But Atato Brahma Jignasya. Now that you've arrived at the human form of life, your business is Krishna consciousness. Your business is realizing, Aham Brahmasmi, I'm spirit soul, not Aham Mameti, I'm the body. That's the purpose of life. It doesn't matter if you're born in India or Mauritius or America or Canada or North Korea. As a human being, that's your real business. Success of life is measured not by name and fame and prosperity, but by how much you know who you are, who is Bhagavan, and what is your intimate relationship with him in Vaikuntha, furthermore in Goloka. That's progress. If you don't realize that by the time you die, you've failed the course of human life. I'm sorry to say. So Krishna comes, and he has to speak. He says here, to re-establish the principles of Dharma. Because the nature of this material world, everything deteriorates, we become forgetful, or we become enamored by the false promises of material enjoyment, and we forget. Instead of verses like Sarva Dharma Parichaja Mamekam Saranam Braja Ham Tam Savapapebhyo Moksisi Mastuchaha, we have other mantras. Money is the honey, money is the honey, it's so sweet, it can't be beat. Money is the honey, money is... It's humorous, but we're laughing at ourselves. Money is important. The body is important. Our responsibilities in this world are important. But what's the utmost important? What no other species of life can do. Reawaken that dormant love of God that's just there in the heart, covered by avidya, by ignorance. So with vidya, with knowledge, we can remember, oh yeah, Atato Brahma Jignasya, Vedanta Sutra. Let me go to the local ISKCON temple and practice spiritual life and become Krishna conscious. So that's one reason. The other reason Krishna comes is to annihilate the miscreants. Because the Varaha Purana describes that in this world there's two types of created beings, the divine and the demoniac. And they're always at odds with each other. Good and evil are always at odds with each other. There's divine and there's demoniac. And whereas the divine people, the pious people of this world, are always thinking of the welfare of others. If you have a lot of something good, then you should share it with others. Don't be a miser. Share. So a pious person is engaged in charity work, helping others, thinking well, at least thinking well of others. Whereas an asura is always thinking how to exploit others, how to get as much from others, come hell or high water, I'll get that from that person. If it means I have to go to war, I'll kill him, I'll take his land, I'll take his money. Unfortunately, there's two types of created beings. And where the pious take pleasure in living a civilized life, simple living with high thinking, and doing good for others, the demons, the asuras, their pleasure comes from giving pain to others. We have so many personalities in history like Stalin or Hitler or Kumbhakarna, Ravana, Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha. You know what I mean. So when these personalities become so powerful, look at Hiranyakashipu. He conquered the 14 worlds. The Devatas were his foot servants. Narada Muni was a foot servant of Hiranyakashipu. He had the blessings of Brahma, almost immortality. Look at Ravana. What is it? What is the definition of Ravana's name? Ravana means, in Sanskrit, he who makes he who terrorizes the universe, Ravana. He tried to build a staircase to heaven so he could terrorize the devatas. He who terrorizes the universe. So what to do with these people? Even the demigods cannot control these asuras. Dantavarkya. During Krishna, Shishupal. Even the devatas cannot. So, Krishna comes. Paritranaya saranam vinashayata duskritam. And he annihilates them. He kills them. Oh, but I thought you Hindus were non-violent. No one complains when the doctor goes into your body with surgery to take out the cancer virus. Cancer is a living entity. Those cells are living, they're reproducing, they're eating your body, wasting it. No one complains, oh, the poor cancer. The doctor went in and took it out and killed it. No. So no one complains when Krishna comes and he annihilates Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha, Kumbhakarna, Ravana, Dantavarkya, Shishupal. No one complains. There's no one of the streets, oh, the Lord appeared as Nrsingadev and killed Hiranyakashipu. Poor Hiranyakashipu. No. But the difference is that when someone kills someone in this world, takes someone's life, that's not allowed. When the Lord does it, what happens? That personality who the Lord kills, that personality gets moksha. That's the difference between, our killing and the Lord's killing. That personality gets moksha, he gets liberation. By the touch of the Lord's nails. There's a beautiful verse describing Lord Nrsingadev, who, as you know, took the asura, Hiranyakashipu, on his lap and dug into his abdomen and pulled out his entrails and made them as a garland and threw his heart to the other side of the assembly hall. You've seen the picture of Nrsingadev, yes? Every Hindu has seen the picture to her. When I first became a devotee in 1969, I took my mother to the temple. She wanted to know what was my religion. And as we walked into the temple, there was one big painting of Nrsingadev with Hiranyakashipu on his lap, tearing out his intestines, with Prahlad Maharaj standing there offering obeisances. So my mother said, what's that? She said, who's that little boy? I said, that little boy, he's 5 years old, that's his father in the lap of God, and God's pulling out his entrails. My mother said, my Lord, what kind of God are you worshiping? I said, Mom, it's a long story. You sit down and I'll tell you. But we know, Om Am Hrim Shrom Om Pat Om Tataka Hataka Keshakdalat Parakalochana Divisingha Namostute. I haven't said the verse in a long time. O my Lord, O Transcendental Lion, I offer my obeisances to you along with Mother Lakshmi. Sometimes flying in the sky, sometimes moving on foot, your mane hairs glow with a wonderful brilliance. Your glance and the touch of your nails are both the source of auspiciousness. When Nrsingadev, or Varaha, or Matsya, or Ram, or Krishna, the Supreme Personality of God, if they just look at you, auspiciousness. If God looks at you, he glances upon you, so much auspiciousness comes your way. He's the source of all auspiciousness. The definition of auspiciousness is that which brings us closer to God. The definition of inauspiciousness is something that takes us further from God. So if God, who's all auspicious, looks at you, kripa, mercy. And that's why we come to the temple on Janmastami. We don't just come to the temple to see God. We come to the temple so God can see us. Because love is a two-way street. So we're trying to love God, and God already loves us. So when his children come in front of him, even though they've been naughty, He likes to see that. Oh, you're coming back. My son, my daughter, you're interested in coming home? Very nice. Mercy. Therefore, an intelligent devotee, he doesn't just come in front of the Lord for the deity, the murti, Shuddhi Murti, for a few moments. Oh, looks nice. Here's my donation in the donation box. See you later. Oh, it's a nice outfit. Bye. He stands there with open arms, with open heart. Bhagavan, Krishna, please. I'm drowning in this fathomless whirlpool of material existence. Oh, you who give shelter to those who have no shelter. Please, just this one time, won't you extend your hand to save me? Rupa Goswami in Padyavali. My Lord, I'm drowning in this fathomless whirlpool of material existence. Oh, you who give shelter to those who have no shelter. Please, just this one time, Golokananda, Shirade, Gornitai, Giriraj, Shalagan. Just give me some mercy. You stay there as long as you can. Just like if you're freezing and you come in front of a heater, you stay for some time. So if you want kripa, if you want mercy, if you want moksha, if you want deliverance from samsara, from the repetition of birth and death, if you want bhakti, if you want prema, spend some time in front of the deity. Don't come and go. I have to go to work. You can work 365 days a year. Spend some time in front of the deity. He's come here. He's the Arsha Vigraha. My spiritual master gave the definition of Arsha Vigraha as the most merciful incarnation of God, the deity. Yes? Yes, because Nrsimha comes, Nrsimha goes. Ram comes, Ram goes. Krishna comes, Krishna goes. But in his deity form, he stays on this planet. I've seen deities in Bharat, I've seen deities in India that were self-manifest in Satya Yuga. How far back is that? You can't even calculate with your brain, even your computer. Deities that manifest in Satya Yuga, they're still here. In Mayapur, we have Nrsimhapali. There's the deity of Nrsimhadev. Satya Yuga. He's so kind. The Lord is so kind. So we embrace this day. This is the day that Krishna comes to save us. We don't even want to be saved. We have a little bit of interest in spiritual life. Okay, I want to go meet my friends, play cards, play bingo. They do that in the West after church. I'm not criticizing, I'm just saying we have to have this burning desire in the heart to get back home where we belong. We are strangers in a strange land. We're not these material bodies. I met one doctor, he told me the body is 76% water. Is that you? The body is 76% water. Is that you? No, you're something more profound. You're the spiritual force within the body. You're the spark of life within the body. You're the Atman, you're the soul in the body. This is your chance for realizing that. You can't do it when you're a dog or a bird or a fish. We've been there, we've done that. Now's the chance, now's the golden opportunity. So we embrace this day. Krishna's come like this. He's come with this message. Sarva dharmam parityajya mamekam saranam brasha aham tam sarva bhakebhyo moksasi ma suchaha. I've come for you fully. So we should fully embrace Krishna on this day. What does it mean? We should jump on the altar and embrace him? No, no, no. Only pujaris can do that. Brahmanas can do. But we can embrace his message. And what is his message? What is Krishna's message in this age? Krishna came in Dwapara Yuga, at the end of Dwapara Yuga. But that's all gone now. This is the darkest of all. This is Kali Yuga, the age of quarrel and hypocrisy, darkness, anger, war. I don't have to, just read the newspaper. Go on the internet. That opportunity when Krishna was here, that's no longer viable, except for a few fortunate souls. But goal of life remains the same. And Krishna's also here with open arms, come back home. But in this age, he doesn't come in his original bluish black color. Krishna Varnam Tusha Krishnam Shangupangusha Parshadam Jagnai Sankatan Payar Vijantihi Shu Medashaha. 11th canto, Bhagavad Purana, Srimad Bhagavatam. Krishna comes, but like Chana avatar. Chana means like disguised. He doesn't come as God because people would just imitate him and want to become God, Mayavad. He comes as a devotee to teach us the process of becoming Krishna conscious, self-realized, how to take proper advantage of this age. And what is his message in this age? Harinam, Harinam, Harinama eva kevalam. Kalo nasteva, 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 gatiranyatha. It's very simple because we're simple-minded people. We think we're so smart. We have such an advanced civilization. If we're so smart and our civilization is so advanced, why are we still suffering? Who's not suffering? Everyone has their story. Everyone has a tear to cry. A lost family member, an accident, money was stolen, taxes, weather. Everyone has their story. If we're so smart, what are we doing in a place like this? Just like you may meet, the prime minister or the president of some country, in a really bad part of town, you say, what's a person like you doing in a place like this? So what are we as spirit souls? Prabhupada said in London, I heard, the spirit soul is more brilliant than 10,000 suns rising simultaneously. Na yovanam cha, the soul is eternally youthful, sweet 16 forever. What are we doing in these old decrepit bodies in a world which is full of birth, disease, old age, and death if we're so smart? We're not smart. So Lord has to give us a very simple process. We're not like our ancestors who could memorize the Bhagavad Gita in 1 week, memorize 18 shlokas of the Bhagavad Purana, Srimad Bhagavatam, in 10 days. I met people like that in India. I have sadhus, friends. They know all the slokas of Srimad Bhagavatam, 18,000. I'll say 7th canto, 3rd chapter, verse 42. Boom, they give it. No, most of us are not like that, including me. We're simple people. But the goal of life is still the same. Back home, back to Godhead. So what does this verse mean? Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Ivekya. In the age of Kali, in the age of quarrel and hypocrisy, the easiest and most sublime means for becoming Krishna conscious, for becoming God conscious, for awakening our bhakti in the heart, which is the visa to the spiritual world, is to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. And that's the best way to observe Janmastami. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, one of our great saints, one of our great acharyas, spiritual masters, he said in one of his songs, holy days like Ekadasi and Janmastami are the mothers of devotion, like your mother nourished you with her breast milk. Holy days like Ekadasi and Janmastami, mothers of devotion for devotees who properly observe them. So how do we properly observe Janmastami? Mainly, Shravanam Kirtanam brings Krishna Smaranam. The food will be there. That's an important part of the process. But on Janmastami, we want to give as much time as possible for what we're doing right now. Shravanam, Kirtanam, hearing and chanting about Bhagavan. We give very little time for that. Our interest is fluctuating. To force ourselves on Ekadasi and Janmastami, more japa, more kirtan, more katha. What will the result be? Cheto darpana marjanam. Cheto darpana marjanam. All the obstacles on the path of devotion to God, like lust, anger, greed, envy, avarice, they wash away. So Janmastami is a day for cleansing the heart. Sitting here, not being restless. When's Maharaj going to finish? When's the feast at midnight? No. Svadhu, svadhu, pade, pade. Go on, more and more and more and more. Katha, more and more. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. So that when we go home, we're a changed person. Dharma means when you go to the church, when you go to the temple, when you go to the synagogue, when you go to the mosque, you go into the house of God, but you come out a different person. You come out, the dirt that's there in your heart when you go into it, it's cleansed away. You're a little bit closer back home, back to Godhead. And Janmastami is for making a quantum leap on the path to Braj, on the path back to the spiritual world where Radha and Krishna and Balaram are waiting for us to live an eternal life of bliss and knowledge. So take full advantage of this evening. It's only 9:30. We have till 12 o'clock. There'll be more kirtan, there'll be more classes, there'll be more plays, there'll be everything that's good for us, absolute good. Shuddha sattva. Stick around, stay as long as you can, stay awake. Don't listen to your hungry tummies. Listen to the katha and make a quantum leap on the path back home, back to Godhead, on this very auspicious day of Janmastami. I thank you. I'm just a guest here. Thank you very much. I love your country. I've been here 3 times, and I get more attached every time. It's a beautiful country with beautiful people. I hope to spend more time here in association with so many wonderful devotees as yourself. Merci beaucoup. À bientôt.